weather continues. They said it's supposed to start snowing again, I guess, in the next couple of days or so. I guess we'll see. And with that in mind, what's going on today? Talk about things like the code. It was kind of interesting reading this one. It talked about things like military drones, but apparently these ones, they don't work in the cold. This one says, Russia has stopped using its Iranian suicide drones because they don't work in the cold, Ukraine says. Russia has stopped using Iranian-made kamikaze drones in Ukraine because they don't work in cold weather, a Ukrainian official said. Yevgeny Silkin of the Joint Forces Command for Strategic Communications of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said that Russia had stopped using the Iranian drones, which are made of plastic and other materials that are not frost-resistant. Imagine that, spending all that money and never, I guess, testing it in cold weather. Then again, it's military weapons. I'll be a little unfortunate if they're actually testing it per se in actual applications. It says, winters in Ukraine can be cold, with mean temperatures often below freezing between December and March. Russia started to use the Iranian drones in October as part of a new playbook that targeted power distribution and other critical infrastructure from afar. Ukrainian civilians have also been killed by drone strikes. And speaking of drones, again, it's always that topic of, for some reason, these types of drones, these military ones, people are okay with it. I guess recreational ones, everyone fears it. How about this one? There's always the talk of its basically, I guess, commercial interest on why so many people are afraid of drones per se, like a small one. This one here says, Japan lifts ban on automated drone flights over residential areas. So you would wonder at first, well, why, right? I thought it's so dangerous, like for a lot of people. Well, apparently it's because of, I guess, commercial drone deliveries that they're doing this. It says Japan on Monday lifted its ban on automated drone flights over residential areas to allow aerial parcel deliveries and help address the country's labor shortages amid an aging population across the country, particularly in rural areas. Unattended drone flights were previously only allowed over uninhabited areas such as mountains, rivers, and farmlands in so-called Level 3 operations under the 4-tier classification system. Level 4 automated drone operations over residential areas will likely begin once operators seeking to provide such services complete government procedures necessary for conducting the flight around March. While some logistics services firms have already started deliveries with Level 3 drone operations, flights through residential areas made possible by a revision of the Civil Aeronautics Law are hoped to help the country address the serious shortage of delivery truck drivers and difficulties in accessing retail stores in rural areas. Saying here, quote, we no longer have to avoid traveling over people's homes, so our delivery efficiency will improve, said an official at major logistics firm Sino Holdings Co., which has been delivering food and other daily products using aerial drones in remote areas of Hokkaido, Yamanashi, and Fukui prefectures. They also say they'll be delivering things like medicines to hospitals, and it says to ensure safe flights over houses, the government requires Level 4 drone flight operators obtain a license issued under a newly launched system and have their drones inspected and approved by the government or certified institutions. Drone pilots must renew their licenses every 3 years by taking written and skill tests. Those who complete courses held at stage-designated institutions will be exempt from a skills test. Although if it's autonomous per se, isn't it more about just, I guess, the hardware in the system? But still, does that make you think again? Everybody fears, like, again, a toy drone or something like that flying around, maybe just capturing pictures for fun, like the scenery. That's too dangerous to be around here and there, but all of a sudden, again, it's okay when it's being used for commercial reasons. I don't know how you can't say that's a big factor in terms of all the fear and stuff at this point anyways. Not many people think too far ahead, I guess, which made me think of this that I read quickly. I read this the other day. At first, I wasn't sure it was just over-exaggeration, but I was talking how apparently in Switzerland, they were going to ban people from charging their electric cars. Can you imagine that with all the topics nowadays too, of trying to go full electric and with vehicles? This one here says the truth behind the rumored EV driving ban in Switzerland. In the last few days, reports in various media outlets have circulated which, at least in their headlines, somewhat literally suggested that Switzerland was planning driving bans for electric cars. It turns out the truth behind the news is not quite that wild. So what do they claim here? It says, The basis for the reports is the Ordinance on Restrictions and Prohibitions on the Use of Electric Energy. So far, this is only a draft the Swiss Federal Council is currently writing to prepare for the possibility of an electric shortage, as are other countries, as an emergency response. And it says, Ordinance regulates restrictions and prohibitions on the use of electrical energy in order to secure the country's electricity supply. It says e-mobility is only mentioned in escalation level 3 as one of many possible measures. There it says, quote, the private use of electric cars is only permitted for absolutely necessary journeys. I guess example, exercising, one's profession, shopping, visiting the doctor, attending religious events. That sounds almost like the shutdowns and stuff we had originally, right? And it says, so should there really be a power shortage in Switzerland? According to the draft, partial driving bans for electric cars could be considered as one of the numerous upstream measures. I don't know how people are going to react to that. It just sounds, again, people aren't ready for a lot of the stuff that they say should be implemented right away. Would people be okay with that, with their vehicles and such, saying, oh, you're not allowed to go here and there unless it's essential because we need to conserve power and so forth? I don't know if people would be okay with that, especially with what has happened in the past couple of years with all the restrictions and lockdowns. Kind of crazy again. People don't think of the long term, I guess. Alright, see you guys later.